My friend, life does not change because you wish it to. Life changes because you discipline what governs your destiny. Your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. There are 6 keynotes that shape this truth. The moment you learn to restrain your tongue, you protect your future. When you master your emotions, you master your direction. When you take control of your finances, you take control of your options. When you discipline your mind, you discipline your life. When you choose intentional habits, you choose intentional outcomes. And when you submit your life to purpose, everything else falls into order. These 6 pillars stand as the foundation of a life that leads, a life that influences, and a life that does not crumble under pressure. You must understand that your mouth is the gatekeeper of your destiny. Most people sabotage their future not with actions, but with words spoken carelessly in moments of weakness. Your tongue is the pen that writes your tomorrow. Every complaint, every doubt, every word of fear becomes a seed planted into your own soil, and life will always give you a harvest in the same form as the seeds you sow. If you do not control your mouth will control your life. Greatness is not spoken accidentally, it is spoken intentionally. Speak only what aligns with your future, not what reacts to your present. Successful people talk from vision. Unsuccessful people talk from emotion. If you want to rise, then speak like where you are going, not like where you are stuck. But your mouth follows your mood, and your mood is one of the greatest enemies of progress. Your emotions were never designed to lead you. They were designed to inform you. When you allow temporary feelings to make permanent decisions, you destroy long-term blessings for short-term comfort. Your mood will tell you to quit. Your purpose will tell you to continue. Your mood will tell you to react. Your wisdom will tell you to stay calm. Your mood will tell you to fight battles that do not matter, but your destiny will tell you to walk away. Control your mood, and you control your momentum. Lose your mood, and you lose your mission. Your emotions must be servants, not masters. Then there is money, a tool that reveals your discipline, your priorities, and your character. Money is not just currency, it is a test. If you cannot manage a little, life will never trust you with more. Poverty is not merely a lack of resources, it is often a lack of order. Wealth follows structure. Prosperity follows purpose. Increase follows instruction. You cannot build a powerful life with reckless spending, emotional buying, or living for approval. Your money must obey you, not rule you. When you take control of your finances, you unlock freedom. When you lose control of them, you enter bondage. Financial discipline is not about having a lot. It is about using what you have with wisdom, intention, and vision. But the greatest battlefield is your mind. Your mind is the womb of your reality. Whatever dominates your thoughts will dominate your life. You cannot rise above the level of your thinking. If your mind is undisciplined, your life will be unstable. If your mind is cluttered, your direction will be confused. If your mind is unguarded, your future will be unprotected. You must feed your mind with truth, strengthen it with purpose, and guard it from anything that weakens your identity. A disciplined mind births a disciplined destiny, and this discipline becomes a lifestyle through habits. Your habits are the invisible architects of your future. What you repeat is what you become. Success is not an event, it is a pattern. Failure is not a moment, it is a cycle. When you choose habits that align with your purpose, your life moves in the direction of your vision without force. Intentional habits create intentional results. Finally, when your life submits to purpose, everything finds alignment. Purpose gives order to your mouth, stability to your mood, direction to your money, and focus to your mind. Purpose is the anchor that keeps you steady when storms come, the compass that keeps you from drifting, and the force that pulls you into the life you were created to live. The moment you learn to restrain your tongue, you protect your future, because the tongue is the smallest weapon with the greatest consequences. People lose opportunities not because they lack talent, but because they fail to control what comes out of their mouth. in moments of pressure, anger, or frustration. Your mouth is the doorway through which your thoughts are exposed, your character is revealed, and your destiny is shaped. Every word you release becomes a seed in the soil of your life, and whether you speak life or death, encouragement or destruction, purpose or confusion, you will eat the fruit of what you have spoken. Many people pray for a breakthrough while speaking words that break down the very foundation they are trying to build. They declare that things will never change, then wonder why nothing changes. They say people cannot be trusted, then wonder why they never attract trustworthy relationships. They speak poverty over themselves, then wonder why wealth distances itself from their life. The tongue does not follow your future follows your tongue. Your mouth is a steering wheel, and wherever it points, your life will eventually go. If your speech is always negative, always complaining, always reacting, your life will move in the direction of negativity, heaviness, and limitation. If your speech is full of gratitude, vision, discipline, and faith, your life will rise to meet the level of those declarations. That is why you must discipline your mouth, not only during moments of calm, but especially in moments of emotional turbulence. Anyone can speak wisely when they feel peaceful. True mastery is proven when you can speak with clarity and restraint while pressure is testing your patience, while someone is provoking you, while circumstances are demanding a reaction. Your future is not threatened by what people say about you. It is threatened by what you say in reaction to them. The enemy does not need to destroy you. He only needs to provoke you into destroying yourself with your own tongue. Your words become laws in your life. When you speak, your mind believes you, your habits follow you, and your environment responds to you. If you constantly speak defeat, your mind accepts defeat as normal. If you speak anger, your mood imitates anger. If you speak limitation, your creativity shuts down. If you speak fear, your courage becomes paralyzed. Speech is not just noise. Speech is spiritual architecture. It constructs the atmosphere you live in, the relationships you attract, and the direction you move in. Every successful person you admire disciplines their mouth. They understand that silence is a strategy, restraint is a superpower, and thoughtful speech is a sign of internal leadership. You cannot lead a business, a family, or a community if you cannot lead your tongue. There will always be moments when your emotions rise, when people misunderstand you, disrespect you, or challenge you. In those moments, your tongue becomes a test of maturity. Immature people speak instantly. Mature people speak intentionally. Immature people speak from impulse. Mature people speak from vision. Immature people speak to win arguments. Mature people speak to win their future. Controlling your mouth is not about suppressing your thoughts. It is about evaluating whether your words will add value, produce progress, or create unnecessary damage. Some battles are won by speaking wisely. Others are won by staying silent. The problem is that many people do not know the difference. You must understand that your mouth carries the power to build or break relationships, to open or close doors, to attract or repel opportunities. Employers listen to your speech, partners judge your speech, mentors evaluate your speech, and even God responds to your speech. Your words signal what you believe, what you value, what you expect, and what you are prepared for. Your speech reveals your internal world long before your actions do. If you want promotion, speak like someone ready for responsibility. If you want influence, speak like someone worthy of being trusted. If you want peace, speak words that produce calm rather than chaos. If you want growth, speak possibility instead of limitation. There is power in choosing when to speak, how to speak, and when not to speak at all. Sometimes silence is not weakness, it is wisdom. Sometimes a slow answer is better than a fast reaction. Sometimes withholding a careless sentence saves you years of unnecessary consequences. The moment you discipline your mouth, you begin to rewrite your story. You begin to speak from purpose rather than pain, from vision rather than frustration, from self-control rather than emotional reaction. And when your speech changes, your life must follow. The moment you master your emotions, you master your direction, because your mood is one of the biggest influences over the decisions you make. the relationships you choose, and the opportunities you either embrace or destroy. Most people are not defeated by life. They are defeated by their own reactions to life. A bad mood has ruined more friendships, broken more promises, and delayed more destinies than any outside enemy ever could. Your emotions are powerful, but they were never meant to be pilots. They were meant to be indicators. They show you how you feel, but they should never decide what you do. When you allow temporary feelings to dictate permanent behavior, you sacrifice long-term purpose for short-term relief. Maturity is proven by the ability to feel deeply yet respond wisely. There are moments when frustration will rise, when anger will push you to say something you cannot take back, when sadness will tempt you to withdraw from the very people who can help you, and when fear will convince you to avoid the very door that was open for you. In these moments, controlling your mood becomes a form of leadership. Leadership over yourself. You cannot lead others if you cannot govern your own emotional climate. A person who is controlled by their moods becomes unpredictable, unstable, and easily manipulated. Environments shift them. People influence them too easily, and circumstances steer them off their path. But a person who has mastered their emotions becomes immovable. They do not react to storms. They respond to purpose. The danger of living by mood is that emotions fluctuate. And anything that fluctuates cannot provide stable direction. 1 hour you may feel passionate, the next hour discouraged. One morning you feel confident, by evening you feel insecure. If your decisions follow those waves, your life becomes chaotic, inconsistent, and confusing. People who live by emotion build nothing lasting because their commitment depends on how they feel at the moment. They love when they feel good, serve when they feel inspired, forgive when they feel soft, and work when they feel motivated. But success requires consistency regardless of mood. Your feelings are unreliable, but your purpose is not. Purpose must lead, feelings must follow. When you discipline your mood, you create emotional boundaries. You learn to pause before reacting, breathe before responding, think before speaking. A controlled mood protects your words, your relationships, and your reputation. It gives you the power to choose peace when others choose chaos, clarity when others choose confusion, and stability when others choose panic. Emotional discipline allows you to remain calm in environments where everyone else is losing their balance. It is often the calm person who sees what the emotional person misses, and the person who sees clearly is the person who makes the right decisions. Many doors are missed because people react too quickly, misinterpret situations, or judge others through the lens of a temporary feeling. You must also understand that your mood influences the energy you bring into every room. People can feel your frustration, your anger, your insecurity, your fear, whether you speak or not. Your emotional presence speaks louder than your physical presence. If your mood becomes unpredictable, relationships become fragile. But when people experience emotional stability from you, they develop trust in your character, your consistency, and your leadership. Emotional stability is not the absence of feelings. It is the ability to manage them without allowing them to spill onto others unnecessarily. Every great destiny requires the ability to endure discomfort without collapsing emotionally. Your mood will not always agree with your mission. There will be days you don't feel like showing up, speaking up, continuing, forgiving, or trying again. But success belongs to those who do what needs to be done regardless of how they feel. Discipline your emotions and you discipline your life. Treat your mood as a signal, not a command. Recognize the feeling, honor it, but don't bow to it. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck is often this simple. They do not allow how they feel in the moment to decide who they become in the future. The moment you take control of your finances, you take control of your options. Because money is not just something you earn and spend. It is a steward, a teacher, and a mirror that reflects your discipline, your priorities, and your preparedness for responsibility. Many people pray for increase while practicing habits that repel increase. They desire abundance without structure, wealth without wisdom, and growth without management. But life never rewards people based on desire. It rewards people based on discipline. Money obeys principles, not emotions, and those who refuse to master their financial life end up controlled by it. Your financial condition is not only about how much you earn, it is more deeply about what you do with what you have. A person who earns little but manages wisely will always live with more peace, more stability, and more opportunity than someone who earns plenty but lives irresponsibly. Your money is one of the greatest indicators of your mindset. If you see money as something that must be spent to maintain an image, you will always be broke. If you see money as a tool to build a future, you will always find ways to multiply it. If you see money as something that comes only to those who are lucky, you will never grow. But if you see money as something that responds to discipline, you will discover that increase follows intentional stewardship. Financial control begins with awareness, knowing where your money goes, why it goes there, and whether your spending aligns with your purpose or with your impulses. Many people tell themselves they don't earn enough, but the truth is they don't track where their money escapes. Without awareness, there is no correction, and without correction, there is no growth. You must understand that money does not change people, it reveals them. When money flows into the hands of the undisciplined, it amplifies chaos. When it enters the hands of the wise, it amplifies growth. This is why so many people experience financial cycles. Short periods of relief followed by long periods of struggle. The problem is not lack of income, the problem is lack of planning. Money flows where order exists. When you take control of your money, you break the cycle of survival living and begin designing a life of stability. You stop living in reaction to emergencies and start building foundations that prevent emergencies from destroying you. Financial discipline also demands emotional discipline because most spending is emotional, not logical. People buy to impress, to cope, to escape, to compete, or to feel better for a moment. But temporary emotional relief produces long-term financial pain. Every unnecessary purchase today becomes a limitation tomorrow. Every impulsive decision becomes a missed opportunity for investment, growth, or preparation. You must train yourself to ask, does this serve my future or only my feeling? Wisdom delays gratification. Foolishness accelerates it. The wealthy are not defined by what they buy. They are defined by what they refuse to buy. Restraint is the birthplace of financial freedom. When you control your finances, you expand your choices. You are no longer forced into jobs you hate, relationships you stay in for security, or decisions driven by desperation. Financial freedom gives you the power to say no when others expect you to say yes, to walk away when others feel trapped, and to pursue dreams without being paralyzed by fear. Money cannot buy purpose, but it can support purpose. It can fund visions, empower generosity, and create impact. A person who manages money well becomes a channel for blessings rather than a consumer of them. To take control of your finances, you must create systems, budgets, savings plans, investment habits, and financial goals. Systems protect you from your weaker impulses. They create boundaries that safeguard your progress and discipline your spending. A budget is not a restriction, it is a roadmap. Saving is not hoarding, it is preparation. Investing is not gambling, it is multiplying what you have been trusted with. When you learn to manage small amounts, you create a life ready for larger ones. Life promotes people who prove they can handle the level they are asking for. The truth is, money magnifies purpose when it is controlled, but it destroys potential when it is uncontrolled. Taking control of your finances is not about becoming rich, it is about becoming responsible. It is about building a life where you are not controlled by fear of the future, where you do not panic when challenges arise, and where you do not depend on others to rescue you from situations you could have prevented. Financial discipline is a form of self-respect. It is acknowledging that your future matters enough to be protected, that your dreams matter enough to be funded, and that your life matters enough to be prepared. When you take control of your finances, you unlock a level of confidence that does not come from income, but from order. And when your financial world gains order, your entire life begins to move with clarity, stability, and purpose. The moment you discipline your mind, you discipline your life, because everything you do, everything you believe, everything you become begins in the territory of your thoughts. Your mind is the womb of your destiny, the workshop of your future, and the battlefield where victory or defeat is first decided long before it shows up in your actions. You cannot rise above the level of your thinking, and you cannot build a life that contradicts the dominant thoughts that govern your inner world. Most people are not held back by their environment. They are held back by the limitations they have accepted as truth. What you meditate on becomes what you magnify, and what you magnify becomes what you manifest. If your thoughts are small, your dreams will be small. If your thoughts are chaotic, your decisions will be chaotic. If your thoughts are negative, your life will be filled with negativity, even if good things are happening around you. A man's life moves in the direction of his most consistent thoughts. Your mind must be trained because it does not naturally move toward discipline, clarity, or purpose. It moves toward comfort, distraction, and fear. The untrained mind spends its energy worrying about things that may never happen, rehearsing conversations that no longer matter, replaying mistakes that cannot be undone, and imagining failures before they even occur. Such a mind becomes heavy, unfocused, and discouraged. But when you take authority over your thoughts, when you decide what deserves mental space and what must be rejected, you begin to build a life rooted in strength rather than uncertainty. Your mind is not a storage room for every thought that knocks on its door. You have the power to choose which thoughts enter, which thoughts stay, and which must be evicted immediately. Discipline of the mind requires intentional feeding. You cannot feed your mind garbage and expect clarity. You cannot fill your mind with negativity and expect confidence. You cannot expose your mind to constant noise, social media, gossip, distractions, and expect focus. Your mind reflects whatever it consumes. If you feed it fear, it will produce anxiety. If you feed it doubt, it will produce hesitation. But if you feed it truth, it will produce stability. If you feed it vision, it will produce direction. If you feed it purpose, it will produce endurance. Great people guard their mental diet as carefully as they guard their physical one. They understand that mental junk food makes the mind sluggish, unfocused, and unproductive. Your mind must also be disciplined through meditation and reflection. Silence is not emptiness, it is alignment. Moments of quiet allow you to hear the voice of wisdom above the noise of the world. They help you separate what is essential from what is urgent, what is truth from what is emotion, and what is purpose from what is distraction. When your mind is calm, decisions become clearer. When your mind is centered, challenges become manageable. When your mind is focused, progress becomes natural. The undisciplined mind reacts. The disciplined mind responds. It is also important to understand that your mind is shaped by your environment, the conversations you engage in, the people you allow close, the content you consume, the atmosphere you work in. All of these influences mold your thoughts. You cannot expect a positive mind while living in a negative environment. You cannot expect a focused mind while staying in a distracted environment. You cannot expect a growth mindset while surrounding yourself with people who settle for mediocrity. Protecting your mind often requires protecting your environment, distancing yourself from voices that drain you, and drawing closer to voices that strengthen you. A disciplined mind questions its thoughts instead of accepting them blindly. Not every thought you think is true. Not every fear is real. Not every assumption is accurate. Not every imagination deserves belief. When you examine your thoughts, you weaken the power of the ones that limit you and strengthen the ones that build you. Your life changes not when your circumstances shift, but when your thinking does. Ultimately, the mind is the control center of your future. If you do not learn to discipline it, others will shape it for you. Society, media, peers, emotions, habits, and fears. But when you take ownership of your mental world, when you intentionally choose what you think, what you reject, what you believe, and what you focus on, you begin to move through life with a level of clarity, confidence, and authority that cannot be shaken. A disciplined mind creates a disciplined life. And a disciplined life creates a destiny aligned with purpose rather than chaos. The moment you choose intentional habits, you choose intentional outcomes, because your life is built not on what you occasionally do, but on what you repeatedly do without thinking. Habits are the quiet architects of destiny. They work in the background, shaping your character, your direction, your results, your future, long before you ever see the evidence in your life. Most people underestimate the power of small decisions repeated daily. They look for big breakthroughs while ignoring the simple routines that either build their potential or destroy it. The truth is, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. If your habits do not align with your vision will become nothing more than a dream. Intentional habits require clarity, because you cannot build the right routines while living with vague intentions. You must know what matters to you, what you want your life to look like, and who you want to become. Once purpose is clear, habits become easier to shape. Every habit either pulls you closer to your purpose or pushes you farther from it. There are no neutral habits. The way you wake up, the way you think, the way you plan, the way you speak, the way you treat your body, the way you manage your time, each of these is a habit that will either empower your destiny or sabotage it. A person who ignores their habits ends up wondering why life feels out of control, while a person who structures their habits begins to see life fall into order. Intentional habits also require discipline, because good habits are easy to break and bad habits are easy to keep. A habit becomes powerful not because it is dramatic, but because it is consistent. Reading for 10 minutes a day seems small, but over years it shapes your mind. Saving a small amount consistently builds a financial foundation. Waking up early strengthens self-control. Speaking positively shifts your emotional atmosphere. Exercising regularly transforms your body and energy. But the same principle applies to negative habits. Scrolling mindlessly becomes a habit that steals time. Complaining becomes a habit that reshapes your thinking. Delaying responsibilities becomes a habit that destroys progress. Entertaining distractions becomes a habit that weakens focus. Your habits are either building the life you want or reinforcing the life you want to escape. The challenge with habits is that they are automatic. You often do not notice them until the consequences appear. That is why reflection is necessary. Look closely at your routines and ask yourself what they are producing. If you do not like your results, examine your daily patterns. Your day is a prophecy of your future. What you repeatedly do today predicts who you will become tomorrow. People often admire the success of disciplined individuals without noticing the unseen habits that created that success. Consistency is invisible until the results become undeniable. To choose intentional habits, you must also choose intentional environments. Habits grow where they are supported. If your environment encourages laziness, distraction, or negativity, your habits will mirror that atmosphere. But if your environment encourages growth, focus, and purpose, your habits will align accordingly. Sometimes the greatest act of discipline is changing the space you operate in or the people you surround yourself with. Your friends are habits. Your conversations are habits. Your entertainment choices are habits. Your responses to challenges are habits. When you want to elevate your life, you must elevate the environment that shapes your habits. Another critical aspect of habit formation is identity. You cannot sustain habits that contradict who you believe you are. If you see yourself as undisciplined, you will subconsciously sabotage disciplined routines. If you see yourself as weak, you will create habits that reflect weakness. But if you choose to see yourself as someone committed to growth, you will develop habits that support that identity. Transformation happens when your habits align with the future version of yourself, not the past version you are trying to outgrow. Intentional habits also require patience. People often quit too soon because they expect quick results. But habits grow like seeds, quietly, slowly, invisibly, and then suddenly. There are seasons where you work without visible progress, seasons where the routine feels repetitive, seasons where discipline feels tiring. But these seasons are not wasted. They are building the internal strength necessary for long-term success. Consistency compounds. Small steps accumulate. Quiet routines transform into undeniable results. The reward of intentional habits is not only what you achieve, but who you become while practicing them. Ultimately, intentional habits create intentional outcomes because your habits shape your thinking. Your thinking shapes your choices. Your choices shape your actions. And your actions shape your future. The life you desire is hidden within the habits you practice daily. If you want a different future, begin with different habits. When you choose habits that align with your purpose, your life moves in the direction of your destiny with clarity and strength. The moment you submit your life to purpose, everything else falls into order. Because purpose is the master key that gives meaning, structure, clarity, and direction to every area of your existence. Without purpose, life becomes a cycle of reactions, routines, and repetitions. People wake up without enthusiasm, work without fulfillment, and make decisions without vision because they are not anchored to a reason greater than survival. But when purpose becomes the center of your life, your choices change, your relationships shift, your standards rise, and your path becomes clearer. Purpose is not just something you do, it is the lens through which you interpret your life. It becomes the inner compass that guides you when circumstances are confusing and emotions become overwhelming. A person with purpose does not need perfect conditions. They need only direction, and direction comes from understanding why you exist. Purpose gives order to your mouth because you begin to speak according to your assignment, not according to your emotions. When you know what you were created for, you no longer waste words on arguments that do not matter, conversations that drain your energy, or speech that contradicts your destiny. You speak with intention, focus, and vision. You speak in alignment with where you are going, not where you are standing. Purpose refines your speech because you start protecting the power of your words, understanding that your voice has influence and your declarations shape your reality. When purpose governs your mouth, you no longer allow frustration, fear, or insecurity to dictate your language. You speak life, direction, and progress even when your circumstances do not yet match your vision. Purpose also stabilizes your mood. People without purpose are easily shaken because their emotions become their guide. They feel good and then feel hopeless. They feel confident and then feel afraid. They feel motivated and then feel discouraged. But when purpose becomes the anchor of your soul, your emotional waves no longer control your direction. You still feel the emotions, but you do not bow to them. Purpose gives you a bigger picture, a wider lens, a stronger foundation. You stop reacting impulsively because you understand that every response affects your calling. You stop allowing temporary discomfort to make you abandon long-term destiny. Purpose gives you emotional maturity because you begin to measure situations not by how they feel, but by how they affect your assignment. Purpose also guides your money because you begin to see finances not as something to display status, but as a resource to build something meaningful. When you know your purpose, you stop wasting money on distractions and start investing in development, preparation, growth, and future impact. You begin to understand that money is a tool, not a master. It becomes a servant of your destiny, not an escape from your insecurity. A purposeful person manages their finances wisely because they understand that their vision requires resources, planning, structure, and stewardship. Money becomes fuel for your mission rather than a symbol of your worth. Purpose protects you from financial recklessness because you start measuring your spending by how it aligns with your future, not your feelings. Purpose also focuses your mind. When you know what you are living for, your thoughts stop wandering into places of fear, doubt, confusion, and comparison. You stop wasting mental energy on people who are not connected to your assignment, situations that do not matter, and distractions that drain your clarity. Your mind becomes disciplined because your vision requires discipline. You begin thinking on a higher level, planning with precision, imagining possibilities instead of problems. Purpose gives your mind direction, and where the mind goes, the life follows. When purpose governs your thoughts, you live with a sense of certainty, even when the future is unknown, because you trust that you are moving in alignment with something bigger than yourself. Purpose is not simply discovered, it is embraced, it is obeyed, it is protected, and it is lived daily through intentional choices. You cannot walk in purpose while living carelessly. You cannot fulfill destiny while ignoring discipline. You cannot rise to your calling while entertaining distractions that pull you away from your assignment. But the moment you truly submit to purpose, fully, wholeheartedly, without excuses, your life begins to shift. You attract the right people, the right opportunities, the right wisdom, and the right direction. You begin to feel a sense of clarity that confusion cannot cloud, a sense of strength that fear cannot shake, and a sense of identity that failure cannot erase. Purpose aligns everything: your mouth, your mood, your money, your mind, because it gives each area of your life a reason to function with excellence. And when a person lives with purpose, they live with power.